Hello everyone, in this short advanced vocabulary video we're looking at the C1 level conjunction notwithstanding. Now I say it's a conjunction, but it can also be used as a preposition and an adverb, and it's C1 level according to Cambridge, of course, not just according to me. Now before we look at the meaning and some examples using notwithstanding, it's important to note that this is a formal word. So don't use it in colloquial conversation. You would sound silly and perhaps even a little bit pretentious. I mean, you could use it in a formal presentation or a speech of some kind, but really this word is most commonly used in academic writing. So if you're planning on taking a Cambridge English exam, you could use it in your essays, maybe your formal reports or proposals, or even a formal letter, but not in sort of the more informal tasks. And as I said, not usually in conversation. So what is the meaning of notwithstanding? Well, basically it means in spite of or despite. So it's a conjunction of contrast. So we use it to express the idea that something is true despite what has been previously mentioned. So it's very similar to despite and in spite of, but it's used in a slightly different way. So as always, we're going to look at some examples to make sure you really understand it and see it in context. So the first example, notwithstanding a few historical inaccuracies, the novel is engaging and thought-provoking. Okay, so as you can imagine, this is from a book review. So notwithstanding a few historical inaccuracies. So basically we're saying here, despite a few historical inaccuracies, or in spite of a few historical inaccuracies, the novel is engaging and thought-provoking. But interestingly, with notwithstanding, and this is how it differs from in spite of and despite, you can change the order of the sentence. So you could say, a few historical inaccuracies notwithstanding, the novel is engaging and thought-provoking. So that's exactly the same meaning, but presenting the information in a different order, which is something you can't do with despite and in spite of. Okay, let's look at another example. Notwithstanding the aforementioned issues, it is recommended the project go ahead. This time I'm thinking of perhaps a report or a proposal, perhaps. But so there are some issues with this project, some problems, but in spite of those issues, so notwithstanding those issues, it is recommended the project go ahead. By the way, we're using the subjunctive in the second part of that sentence. It is recommended the project go ahead, but that's for another video. But again, you could say the aforementioned issues notwithstanding, it is recommended the project go ahead. And one more example, notwithstanding his lack of experience, it is believed the candidate would be a valuable addition to the team. Okay, so you can imagine this is the human resources department, perhaps writing to their boss, the CEO of a company, recommending this candidate for the team to be employed in the company. But one other difference between despite and in spite of is you cannot use the gerund form of a verb after notwithstanding. You need to use a noun phrase, not a gerund form of the verb. For example, in this sentence, if you used despite or in spite of instead of notwithstanding, you could use the gerund form of a verb. So you could say, despite having a lack of experience, so despite having, but you can't say notwithstanding having a lack of experience. No, you can only use a noun phrase, so notwithstanding his lack of experience. Okay, so this is a really handy conjunction to have up your sleeve, not only because it gives you alternatives to despite and in spite of, but it's also more impressive, right? If you're trying to demonstrate your wide range of vocabulary, so notwithstanding is a good one to use. Always keeping in mind the register that you're using for the writing composition. It must be consistent throughout. Okay, thank you for joining me, and I'll see you very soon for another video.